What if your anxiety isn't a disorder at all? What if it's a side effect? Here's a truth that almost nobody in the medical establishment will say out loud. For millions of people, alcohol isn't relieving anxiety. It's manufacturing it from scratch. And the cruel irony, the part that keeps people trapped for years and sometimes decades, is that the more you drink to calm down, the worse the anxiety gets. Not by accident, by design. The mechanism that makes alcohol feel like medicine is the exact same mechanism that turns your nervous system into a permanent alarm. Think about the last time you had a drink after a stressful day. Within minutes, your shoulders dropped. The racing thoughts went quiet. The world felt manageable, almost friendly, like someone turned the volume knob down on everything that was bothering you. That experience feels real because it is real, at least for about 20 minutes. But here's what nobody tells you. That calm you felt wasn't free. Alcohol didn't pay off your anxiety debt. It borrowed calm from tomorrow and charged you interest. Think of it like a loan shark in a nice suit. He shows up with cash when you're desperate, and for a brief moment, your problems disappear, but he's coming back. And when he does, he's taking more than he gave. That is the exact relationship between alcohol and your nervous system, and it is the #1 cause of rebound anxiety in the developed world. Most doctors never make this connection. They treat the anxiety. They never investigate what's generating it. But that's not even the worst part. To understand why this trap is so effective, you need to understand what's happening inside your brain every single time you take a drink. And very quickly, if you want instant access to a brand new video training that I've just finished showing you how to control alcohol in as little as 48 hours, then click the link in the description. This new method is not about using willpower therapy or AA meetings. It's totally different. I do not publish this video anywhere else online, and it's already changing thousands of lives. So click the link below for instant access. Once you're on the next page, enter your name and email address, and your free training will begin. It takes just 7 minutes to watch, but it'll feel like somebody flicks a switch in your brain. And honestly, I'm not sure when I'll start charging for this 7-minute video training. That's how good it is. But whilst it's still available, click the link below, enter your name and email address, and watch that video now. When alcohol enters your system, it artificially floods 2 critical neurotransmitter systems. The first is GABA, your brain's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, the chemical responsible for making you feel calm and relaxed. The second is dopamine, the chemical your brain uses to signal pleasure and reward. So when you drink, you get a massive, unnatural spike of both. You feel relaxed, you feel happy. You feel like everything is going to be fine, and your brain notices. See, your brain is constantly monitoring its own chemistry, trying to maintain balance. When it detects this artificial flood of GABA and dopamine, it does something that makes perfect sense from a survival standpoint, but is catastrophic for your mental health. It says, "There's way too much GABA in here. Shut down the factory." Your brain literally reduces its own natural production of the chemicals that keep you calm. Do this once, maybe you bounce back. Do this repeatedly, week after week, month after month, and your brain doesn't reset back to its healthy baseline. It becomes permanently imbalanced. The brake system gets weaker. The accelerator, your excitatory system driven by glutamate, gets stronger. It's like holding a beach ball underwater. You're using alcohol to push it down, but the moment you let go, it doesn't just float to the surface. It rockets out of the water. And here's where things get really interesting, because this is the part that keeps people stuck for years. When the alcohol finally leaves your system, usually late at night or early the next morning, you're suddenly experiencing the world through a brain with reduced braking power and an overcharged stress response. What used to be normal, simply being sober, now feels unbearable. Not a little uncomfortable, unbearable. Your resting state has been chemically altered to feel like anxiety, and you have no idea that alcohol is the thing that did it. So what do? You drink again. Because drinking is the only thing that seems to fix it. The substance that created the problem is the only thing that temporarily masks it. That's the trap. That's the game. This experience has a name. People call it hangxiety, but that word makes it sound like a mild inconvenience, like a headache you can cure with toast and coffee. Hangxiety is not ordinary nervousness. It is a full chemical crash. Your heart is pounding. You feel a sense of doom that has no identifiable source. You feel guilty, and you don't know why. You feel like the world is ending, and there's no logical reason for it. You're creating anxiety out of thin air, except it's not thin air. It's neurochemistry. Your brain's GABA production has been suppressed. Your glutamate system is firing on overdrive, and your dopamine has cratered below baseline. That combination doesn't produce mild worry. It produces terror. Remember what alcohol is: a loan shark. It gives you 20 minutes of relaxation and demands repayment with up to 24 hours of compounded anxiety. That's the exchange rate. 20 minutes of borrowed calm for an entire day of heightened nervous system activation. And the cycle of misery that follows is predictable. Not because you're weak, but because it's a neurochemical loop operating exactly as designed. You feel anxious. You drink to cope. For a few hours, the noise stops. Then you wake up, and the anxiety isn't just back, it's 10 times worse. So you drink again, and the debt grows. And the interest compounds. And every drink feels like it's delivering relief, but in reality, it's just stacking up more of what you're trying to escape. Many people who've broken this cycle describe the same revelation. They didn't have an anxiety disorder. They had an alcohol disorder. Once they removed the chemical trigger, 90% of their anxiety vanished. Not gradually over years, within weeks. But wait, because there's another layer to this that almost nobody talks about, and it might be the most damaging one. Alcohol doesn't just wreck your brain chemistry directly. It destroys the one thing your brain needs most to repair itself: sleep. Depending on the study, between 1/3 and 90% of heavy drinkers suffer from insomnia. Think about that range for a second. Even at the low end, 1 in 3 regular drinkers can't sleep properly. At the high end, it's nearly all of them. Alcohol sedates you, sure. It helps you fall asleep faster, but it obliterates your restorative sleep architecture, particularly REM sleep, the deep stage where your brain consolidates memories, clears metabolic waste, and resets your emotional circuits. So your 8 hours of sleep weren't real rest. They were a chemical knockout. You wake up groggy, tired, foggy, and your brain never got the repair time it needed. And here's why this matters so much for anxiety specifically. Poor sleep doesn't just make you feel tired the next day. It keeps your nervous system locked in a state of permanent, low-grade threat response. Your cortisol stays elevated. Your emotional regulation degrades. Your ability to handle normal stress collapses. And this isn't just about feeling rough on a Tuesday morning. Chronic sleep disruption sets up a cascade of serious health problems, including hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. So now you have two forces working together against you: alcohol-induced chemical imbalance destroying your calm from the inside, and alcohol-induced sleep destruction preventing your brain from ever repairing the damage. Night after night, the anxiety debt compounds. Night after night, the one system that could help you recover gets sabotaged. That's not a bad habit. That's a biological siege on your own nervous system. So why doesn't anyone tell you this? Why can you go to a doctor, describe crippling anxiety, and walk out with a prescription for an anti-anxiety medication without a single question about how much you drink? This is the blind spot in the system, and it's enormous. High-functioning professionals are especially vulnerable here. They frame their drinking as stress management. They say things like, "I drink to unwind," or "I need a glass of wine to take the edge off," and nobody challenges it. Not their doctors, not their partners, not their colleagues. Because culturally, drinking to manage stress is considered normal. It's considered earned. You worked hard, you deserve a drink. That framing comes directly from a billion-dollar alcohol industry that has spent decades positioning its product as a reward and a relaxant, and it has made alcohol culturally invisible as an anxiety trigger. Meanwhile, in the clinical world, anxiety and alcohol use are frequently treated as separate, unrelated conditions. You see a therapist for the anxiety. Maybe you see a different doctor for the drinking, if anyone even identifies it as a problem. The root cause goes unaddressed while the symptoms get managed with medication. People suffering from alcohol-induced anxiety get told they have generalized anxiety disorder. They get put on SSRIs. They get taught breathing exercises. All while the thing that's actually generating the anxiety sits in their fridge, waiting for them when they get home. Nobody investigates what's causing the fire because everyone is too busy selling smoke detectors. Here's the thing. If your anxiety is worse the day after drinking, that is not a coincidence. That is a data point. If your anxiety started getting noticeably worse around the same time your drinking increased, that is not a coincidence either. If you feel a sense of doom, a racing heart, guilt without a cause, especially in the mornings, you're not broken. You're not weak. You're experiencing the predictable neurochemical consequences of a drug doing exactly what it was always going to do. And the good news, the part that changes everything, is that this process is reversible. Your brain can start producing its own GABA again. Your sleep architecture can rebuild. your nervous system can recalibrate, but it can't do any of that while you keep flooding it with the substance that broke it in the first place. If you want to know exactly what happens to your anxiety levels during the first 30 days without alcohol, the specific timeline that most people are never shown, click the video on the screen right now.